As usual, we have some design and motifs to talk about. Now, in the 19th century, things are getting very, very complicated. There's a lot of ideas coming in. We have ideas coming in from Asia and then French, English, Italian, American ideas all being mixed. So this gets fairly complicated. I'm going to try and simplify it as much as possible. We're going to see a lot of period styles and motifs. What I'm referring to is they're looking back at different periods. We're going to see Romanesque revival, Gothic revival, Renaissance revival, Rococo revival, all periods that we've dealt with. But they're going back and updating them based on construction methods that are now available to them because, of course, the technology has shifted. And this applies equally to furniture because suddenly I can create forms out of laminated plywood that Rococo artisans could only have dreamed of. So why not expand on some of those old ideas? We'll see the use of the iris. The iris is very common. It's seen as very proud, very linear. It has a certain delicacy to it that speaks to the period, so they use it quite regularly. We're going to see the use of floral design. Now, almost every period that we've talked about, we've seen floral design, but it continues on here, as we see in this Renaissance revival carving, relief carving. So it's a common element amongst a variety of societies. During this period, it's generally going to be stylized, and it's going to be increasingly stylized as we move closer to 1870, 1880. We also see the use of masks, in this case Renaissance masks. These could be theatrical or carnival masks, and we see one right here on this piece. They can be used as metaphorical items, referring to deception, referring to theatricality, referring to drama, referring to any number of different things. They're really flexible, but it's just a very popular motif and form at the time. We'll also see the use of foliage and swag. Now, we've seen these both in previous movements. Swag is basically fabric that's hung along, in this case, a fence, but it can be used on frames and other things. And as it drapes down, of course, it creates these very beautiful curvilinear lines. And the foliage, of course, is very, very common. And here we see it used in a three-dimensional form on what is likely a French vase. They're very into this at the time. And here we see the oranges, lemons, grapes, the foliage all added. But it's going to take on a number of different forms, sometimes very, very naturalistic, sometimes very stylized. We'll also see the use of architectural backgrounds. They're getting this from the Renaissance. And in the Renaissance, it was really common in art. So they're going to use that quite regularly and incorporate it into 19th century design.